What's happening, Mr. Albie Stasek? We are here for the 2020 address to impress, as you may notice, for the 2020 State of the Union address to the real estate industry. And
hello, Mr.
We're here today. Do I?
Our first guest was Mr. Crockett. Cheers.
Well, hey, what's up? Cheers. Hey, my Moscow Mule Cup has evolved into one that holds 3 Moscow Mules. So just because I don't want to interrupt our programming tonight. So
always about the efficiencies, Jay.
That's right.
What I love about you. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. So what we're gonna do tonight is we have a lot of fun conversations, and sometimes we don't get to share them with everybody. So what we wanted to do tonight is kind of our predictions for 2020. It's been a great 2019, but we're entering a new decade, and there's lots of there's lots of moving parts, lots of things, lots of disruption going on, lots of things that we should be thinking about as real estate agents as we're thinking about our careers and our livelihood. And so we're gonna dig in. And here's the cool thing: we got a new platform, right? So we're using a new platform. So if things come off the rails, what's up, Don Zimmerman? We can see your comments better than we have been able to in the past. So as you throw some stuff at us, we will probably be able to interact with you better. So what's up, Sam Holman? I know you're always on, so I appreciate you, brother. And so I know we got a lot of people that are we have the Dallas EXP Christmas party that I failed to put in my calendar. So I apologize to all my Dallas peeps for not being there. Be there next time. So that's also tonight. So yeah, Mr. Stasek, this was really mostly your idea. So what are your thoughts as we enter into this discussion of the State of the Union address for 2020?
Well, I'm kind of excited about 2020. I think there's a lot of chatter going on, but before we dip into that, I want to welcome back all of our viewers. Back in 2017, when we started doing this into 2018, we were getting a lot of good feedback. They liked our broadcast. We I think that we're kind of known for the people who there's going to be no fluff. We're going to tell it how it is. Sometimes it's going to be raw. Sometimes you're not going to like it. But I think that that's actually the part that many people do like, is that we're not here to try to be politically correct about anything. You're going to hear it straight with no filter. And I'm happy to be back, because we've been getting the messages like, hey, when you and Jay going to go back and do your Wednesday nights again? And we still today don't even know what we're going to call this little broadcast. But for right now, we're going to roll with our State of Our Market 2020. And we're going to talk about, let's bust some myths, because I think there's a lot of chatter out there. If you get caught up watching Fox and CNN and all this noise that's out there, I think the facts get blended in and blurred, and then people don't know what to believe. And so let's bring some of the facts that we kind of just got right off of from NAR. We'll talk a little bit about what happened in 2018, what happened in 2019 with home sales, with prices, and what's going to happen in 2020. I think we wanted to talk a little bit about iBuyers, because I know that that's been a hot topic. I think that some people think the iBuyer is going away. I do not believe that that's going to be happening. And I think that someone, if you watch enough news, you're gonna keep hearing the word recession out there, and we'll address that too. You ready to hit it?
Let's do it. Let's start with your pick for the. Let's start with your pick for the presidential election. So let's just divide it right down the middle and get everybody off that might want to get off. This is right out of the gate. I'm just kidding. We don't have to start with that. I would be curious as to what I'm curious. I'm curious as to what, if you're watching this, who do you think is going to win the presidential election? It is. I mean, you can never know, right? Like you can say whatever you want. You can pick whatever party you want to support. Like, who knows what the heck's going to happen? But what are y'all's predictions? Anybody want to throw that out there? I'd love to see what y'all think, because I really don't.
Type them in the comments. I got to pull up the live chat. Here we go. Where are your cocktails? They're right here in our hands. What's Zillow doing? We'll touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, we will.
Someone said Hillary. We got Trump, Hillary. Yeah, Hillary.
Yeah.
What's funny is that, Jay, I remember back in 2016, and I think that, we're about to brace. In 2016 was an election year that I don't think anybody ever saw previous, at least while I've been on this planet. I'm 46 years young, and I don't remember a more divided and heated presidential election than 2016. And it was kind of fun to watch.
I went to bed, dude, thinking that Hillary was going to be president. I really did.
I think everybody did.
The end of it. And it was like the biggest upset in presidential history.
Yeah. Oh, Hillsman says Stasek. Yeah, I appreciate that. That ain't gonna happen. But appreciate your vote. I think even Trump was a little shocked. But I think that for all and you remember I put that billboard up. If you want to leave the country, this and that, and ended up getting news coverage. Marketing lesson. That was a straight up marketing play right there. It had nothing to do with any politics, but we ended up getting on like 3 or 4 channels. CNN, it went national news, and then we had the copycatters all over the country, putting billboards up after I threw one up, which was fine with me because it was great. But yeah, this is, I think, going to be even going to be more heated, and it's cool from, I guess, an entertainment standpoint, but it also, I think, starts to blur the lines because all you hear are the politicians, and their talking points, which only serve one side, their side. You're never going to hear like a real story.
Right. Yeah. You're never going to hear a real conversation around something.
You're never going to hear the fact that inflation right now is at 1.8%. 1.8% inflation. That's historically low. You're not going to hear that the unemployment rate right now is 3.6%. So to give some perspective on that, 10 years ago, full employment, if we were considered what full employment was, that was 6% 10 years ago. And we're at 3.6% unemployment right now. So we're like beyond where we were 10 years ago, what they thought was full employment. And I don't know about you, Jay, but I don't think I've ever seen us as a country experience a recession when you have unemployment at 3.6%. I don't know what you're talking about now, but I don't think that comes.
Right. That would be the opposite of what you would see in a recession. That's for sure.
And I'm not the smartest guy. And so just to back this up, I looked this up, and our buddy, I think it's Case Schiller. I'm looking at my notes here. It's Case Schiller, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Case Schiller, I think, was one of the guys that stated, and he's much smarter than me, that he doesn't see a recession coming for more than 2 years or something like that. So anyways, I don't think, hell, your video on the stock discount purchase was going to 10%. Job well done. You're welcome, Dan. I got version 2 coming out soon.
We can't even repeat that, but that comment, but
yeah,
that's great. I love Dan Hillsman. So what? So keep going. You got some more data on that, data points.
Yeah. So NAR. This is right off of NAR. 7 years. We've had 7 years of rising prices. NAR predicts that the shortage of inventory is going to continue, and that new home sales in 2020 is going to keep rising. So a little bit about existing home sales. In 2018, 5.3 million existing home sales, and this is the arena that most of us that have been in our circles, and people that follow us, and people we're associated with. We're in residential resale for the most part. Sure, some people do the foreclosures or new construction, but we're mostly all in resale. 5.3 million in 2018, 5.4 million in 2019, which is higher than forecasted. And in 2020, it's projected at 5.56 million, which would be the 4th best real estate market in history. So it's looking good, Jay. Next year, 2020, it's looking good. Even with the iBuyers, it's looking good. And we'll touch a little bit on the iBuyers later. Without getting into too many details, median prices keep rising. 2018, they rose 5.7%. 2019, 4.9%. In 2020, they're going to still go up 4.3%. So they're not going up at the highest percentage. The percentage is going down, but it's still going up. And we like seeing that steady climb, not sharp spikes and everything like that. And they're talking about interest rates are going to average around 3.7% in 2020. So money has never been cheaper. It's still cheap. I just can't see us bumping into a recession, and at least not in the next couple of years here.
No doubt. Yeah, it doesn't feel like that's the case. Anytime you have more jobs, more people with jobs, money the cheapest it's been, inflation the lowest it's been, it just seems to be that we're a few years away from any kind of retraction of where we're at. So love it.
Yeah, man. So
it's all throttle for 2020. That's where we're at. How about that? So I got a question for you. So there's a few things that I have questions on. I just want to get your opinion out. So one is Amazon. So let's start with the big one. So let's start with the lawsuit against NAR, the class action lawsuit against NAR, really is one of the biggest threats to the real estate industry. If you're a real estate professional and you don't know, you should Google and start studying that up. But that's one of the biggest threats to the real estate industry as it relates to how we do business. And one of the things that could happen from that is it could separate the whole way the structure of the MLS is and how we're paid by the seller, but the buyer doesn't have to actually pay us. We would have to negotiate then with the buyer to pay our fee. So this would be a huge departure from what real estate is as we know it. What are your initial thoughts on that? As if that were to happen, what would happen to the industry? Would we have less real estate agents? Would it impact the number of sales that how important is a real estate agent to the transaction? What are your thoughts, Al?
Well, I think that what it's going to do is, and before I answer that question, I got to give a shout out to 87 Kevin. What's up, 87? 87 Kevin's in the house. I think that there's going to be a portion of real estate agents who are going to be stuck. And it's the real estate agents who have not been able to articulate their value on the buy side of the transaction. And what I mean by that is that if they position themselves as really just a door opener, and they're there to just be a yes person and write the contract, and they're not truly articulating the value of what they can provide to their client up front, similar to what we do on a listing presentation. Now, on a listing presentation, you're signing a listing agreement for whatever the percentage is that you're charging, and before you get someone to do that, at least I'd say 90% of the time, you actually have to articulate your value to get that person to agree to pay you thousands or maybe even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on the price of that house. And for ages, as soon, going all the way back to the beginning of buyer agency, let's just be factual and be truthful. We really haven't had to do that. We could meet somebody online, or they could call in off a sign. I mean, back when you and I started, you were 97, I was 98. There were still the MLS books. We still had floor time. You get a call, you get a lead off of a phone call coming off the sign. And if they wanted to get in that house, they had to, and see it, because the properties were not online. They couldn't see any properties online then. Realtor.com didn't exist. They needed us to go and actually open the door. We had that leverage, and we had the leverage of information. We no longer have the leverage of information. They can actually see all the pictures. They can see virtual tours. They can see everything. They can get all the room sizes and everything literally online. And all they need is you to open the door for them to actually physically see it, which they can get the listing agent to do that. So we all know that if a buyer goes directly to the listing agent, that's like the defense, that's like being on the defensive side of a lawsuit and going to the plaintiff's attorney for a defensive argument. And you don't want to do that, because your side, you're not being represented. Your interests aren't being represented because they're representing the seller. So I think that the disruption will happen for a portion of the agents who they don't either have the training or the knowledge, or they don't have the confidence to go out there and earn that fee. And so that's what I think is going to happen. There's going to be a portion of people, and I'll name one group, expert advisors, who actually have a proven, repeatable system that they are able to follow. That's gonna articulate that value and want people to compensate them for their the representation. So I don't know. That's my long version. What do you think?
Yeah, dude. When I started really thinking about like what would be the impact? What would be the impact of the buyer being out there, without representation or without an agent involved, or the agent has to negotiate a fee, with that buyer and get the buyer to, if buyers were able to do the deal without a real estate agent involved. I mean, think about how many deals fall apart when an agent is involved, right? Like the challenge of getting a deal to the closing table. To me, it would be, it would have the impact ultimately would be on the number of homes sold, period, across the country. Just like we're seeing, 5 point whatever million homes it was that you quoted earlier that sold, which was up from last year. Like, think about how many deals would fall apart when the real estate agent, if a real estate agent wasn't a part of the buy side transaction. And so it's interesting. It's an interesting thought. I know this, the agent that doesn't know how to articulate their values is going to be the agent that doesn't do deals. There's no question about that. In the absence of value, people question price. So if you can't articulate what it is that you do to save the buyer thousands to tens of thousands across the home buying experience, then you are definitely going to have a hard time. And it brings into play again more discounters, people doing it for less, rebates, all the stuff that's already out there. There's tons of people out there that are offering discounts and rebates, and there's always going to be a market for that. You got to always understand there's always going to be a Ross dress for less, right? Like there's people that will go into Ross and will look through all the clothes and try to find the right size when that shit is not listed in the right place. And there's people that are looking for deals, and there's people that are always going to be looking for a discount. That's always going to be the case. That's a subset of the market. But then there's also a large subset of the market that just want to have an expert. Like when I go to the doctor, I would like to have an expert. I would like to have somebody that knows what they're talking about, that has a track record of success and performance, and has a proven system for helping me to get whatever to the best outcome that I can have. And the same thing it's the same thing in any industry. You're always going to have people that are looking for the right, in a service industry, you're going to look for people that are looking for the best person to give them the best advice. And I think, the best thing that you can do to protect yourself from any changes would be learning how to be positioned as the expert, be a true expert, and be able to show and demonstrate how you're going to save someone money across the home buying experience so that they'll be willing to pay you to negotiate on their behalf. I mean, what I'm saying, like, that's, when you really think about like real estate agents, let's just be honest, guys. For those that are watching this, you guys do deals. The people that don't do deals don't sit on here and watch stuff like this, and they don't invest in learning and growing. But
or maybe they are.
Or maybe they are.
If we have any non-realtors, hit that love button, because we love that you're watching and you're sitting through all this. Cheers to you.
But if you are a real estate agent that doesn't sell anything, then I might offend you. So you just earmuffs right now. When it comes to doing deals and you've got an agent that's on your side of the an agent that's either they understand how to negotiate or they don't. You can call on a listing on a property, and if an agent doesn't have a lot of listings or they're not a top producing agent, you say, hey, listen, man, I got a buyer. They got it narrowed down to 2 properties. They really like yours, but honestly, they like this other property better. I feel like they're better suited for this one. And is there anything you could tell me that could help me with, how motivated is your seller? If they were to bring an offer, would they be willing to pay closing costs? Would they, you start to have this conversation with them. They shouldn't. Legally, they should not tell you anything. But you know what happens every time? You know why? Because they want to make a sale. They start telling you everything you need to know so that you can negotiate for on behalf of your buyer and bring a deal that's likely to get accepted. And when I can just tell you, if you're a buyer and you're wanting to buy real estate, you're a lot better off with somebody who understands how to negotiate than you are with somebody who doesn't. And you should be willing to pay for that. And I would be.
You're saying is you want an agent that's trained like a Navy SEAL, right?
Right, exactly, 100%. So yeah, so your ability to do that is your expertise in the market, your ability to negotiate, and your ability to communicate your value proposition, make that value visible is the most valuable thing. I think going into 2020, of all the threats that are around you, that's the number one thing that you could do is be positioned as an expert in your marketplace and understand how to communicate that value so people will be willing to pay your fee regardless of what the MLS states and what they're going to offer to pay you. On the buy side is what we're talking about.
Yeah, another example we both use in our presentation is the difference between Motel 6 and Ritz. And if you're a real estate agent listening to this, is your brand, and you are the brand, right? Are you as the brand positioned as the Ritz or the Motel 6? And, look, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm watching the comments, and Matt Graham said, too late. Just wait until blockchain technology enters the real estate market.
Yeah.
So that's a topic I can't go real deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to pick topics I can go like a mile deep on. I can't go a mile deep on blockchain, but I have looked at it, and this and Matt, maybe you might have to post a little bit more. We might have to bring you on here if you're an expert in that field. Blockchain is NAR's move for if it does change, if this does happen, how do we include the real estate agent in the future? And how do we make sure the real estate agent is always a part of the real estate transaction? And blockchain is one of the ways that it's what they're betting on. NAR's betting on blockchain being the future and including the real estate agent in the transaction by having that, whatever you call it, that source code of every time a property sells, if you were the selling agent or whatever, you were part of that property forever. And, you start to, have a footprint basically in a market of like, oh, you sold these properties, all these properties over time. You're an expert in this particular property. Maybe if it's an iBuyer or whatever the case may be, we're gonna go, consult with you, work with you, keep the agent involved in the transaction. That's the best I can give you an explanation of it. It's very early, I think, in terms of, or at least maybe my knowledge is just very limited in that space. But blockchain is something that NAR's, they're betting on if something were to change. So I would love to hear Matt's comments on that as far as that goes too. So we see your comments. Appreciate you making comments. It makes it a lot more fun for us too. And yeah, and then Jay's mentioning, blockchain is another 10 years out as far as affecting real estate next. And so, yeah, it kind of feels that way, right? Like it feels like they're super early in that. But yeah, we'll see. I don't think it's going to change. We're talking about 2020. So I don't think we're going to see blockchain make a difference in 2020. We'll see. We'll see if 5 years things grow.
I think, kind of going back to like the original question, which was, what will happen if they win the lawsuit? And if they win the lawsuit, obviously there's going to be a time period where they're going to be they're going to file what is it called, rebuttals or whatever. I'm not an attorney, Jay. What's it called when if someone loses, then they file appeals, and there's going to be appeals that'll be dragged out. But at the end of the day, if that does go through and they win, things are going to change. And one of the things, I think there's going to be actually less homes that sell for the reason that you said earlier, is that because good buyers agents help keep deals together. And without that good representation and people going straight to the to the selling agent and the listing agent and having no representation, we're going to be going back to 1970 when there was no buyer's representation. That didn't exist. You just went right to the listing agent. And I think you're also going to see lawsuits increase. I think you're going to see a number of litigation go up if that happens. So it'll be interesting to watch. But the one thing I can't talk about blockchain. You and I both are, I guess we can agree on not talking about that since we're not experts. But the one thing we can talk a little bit about is this iBuyer movement that's going on. And I got to be honest with you. When I first heard about it coming out, I was a little skeptical. And the way I was skeptical was like, man, I've already lived through one real estate crash where everybody was buying, and then boom, it crashed. Well, we're not in that same environment right now. And these iBuyers, these institutional buyers, they ain't going away. They have ridiculous amounts of funding. But I have a statistic here. In 2018, iBuyers accounted for 25,000 transactions, but that was in 2018. And that was only about 0.2%. But you had a stat that I didn't have. What was the stat that you dug up of what it is now, or what it's increasing year over year?
Yeah, so I was reading. I was reading up on, actually it was on PR Newswire from Redfin. I just pulled it up just to go through some of the numbers. That iBuyer purchased 3.1% of homes sold during the third quarter of 2019 across 18 markets, which is up 1.6% from a year earlier. So in 18 markets, we're seeing we're seeing doubling of the iBuyer purchases, and iBuyer meaning you're talking Zillow, Open Door, OfferPad, other companies that are purchasing properties with the intent of selling those properties, turning over that money multiple times over the course of the year, and making enough margin on those deals just to beat the market as far as where's a good place to place your money. And it's a fascinating thing, and it's absolutely doable, and they're killing it. And what was most amazing, like in some markets in Raleigh, North Carolina, 6.8% of all home sales in Raleigh in the third quarter of this year were iBuyers. So what are we talking about when Open Door came to Dallas for the very first time? We met with their sales team, and their goal was 5% market share across all of DFW. I can assure you that they're going to eclipse that. And as we have other people enter the market, Zillow offers all of these different companies come into play, they're gonna take a chunk of the market. And what I was most fascinated by when I was looking at the numbers was the on the flip side, the days on market for these iBuyer companies is significantly less in every single market except for maybe one, which I think it was. I can't remember what market it was, but all but one of those 18 markets, their average days on the market for them selling those properties was lower than the average on the market in that market.
Are you talking about the resale of those properties?
The flip side of that, when they're selling that property, they're selling it on average days on the market less than what every other home, which is, if you're, putting a property on the market that's, they're doing whatever little rehab needs to be done and positioning it correctly, they've been able to sell those properties on the open market on less days than other market. Now, when the market shifts, I think, if there is some type of shift in the marketplace, I just think that they're dialing in. That's evidence that they're dialing in their systems to get a property sold quickly, which means that they're going to continue to be more aggressive in buying because they know that they can turn their money fast. If they can turn their money fast, then that's how this works. And you're able to, if you can make 3% 3 or 4 times a year, you're going to beat the market in terms of putting return on investment. So it's
when they relisted, are they relisting it with an agent?
No, they're a real estate company in that marketplace, and they do relist. Well, I say that one of the and it's evolved a little bit since then. They've been willing to pay a commission on the list on the listing side of that, or on the buy side of that for bringing the buyer. But what they do also do is they market that property with a lockbox where you can come in pretty much anytime, not 24 hours a day, but they've got a time period where you can come into that property using the lockbox that they put on there, and it tracks who comes in and that sort of thing, like through a cell phone or whatever. But that anybody can show that property, and so a buyer could come in and buy the house without an agent involved, and that's
they can look at it without an agent.
Yeah, absolutely, they can.
See, that would and at least in Ohio, that's against license law, and they can't. That's a no. They are cracking down, at least in Ohio. I don't know about other states, but in Ohio, if you give a code out to a buyer directly, and I don't know if it's even if the seller gives permission or not. I don't know that. I don't know. But what I do know is that there were people giving codes out all the time to buyers, especially on bank-owned stuff. And there were people like next to losing their license for that. So I'm wondering how they're getting around that piece, but cannot access electronic lock boxes. I agree, Jay. Yeah, they can't do the e-boxes. I agree. But that doesn't mean that these guys have to put an e-box on. They can put a code box on if they wanted.
Yeah. So here in Dallas, and I probably need to brush up on this. It's been a while since I looked, but they basically have a lockbox system that a buyer can look at that property. Now, this was when they weren't listed at all. So I think since then they've determined that they need to be listed in the MLS. But they were able, anybody was able to go look at a property without having to actually use a showing service or use an MLS lockbox. You were able to go look at the property, and and not have to do that. So maybe different now. So what? There was something else here. So Matt Gray made another comment. So educating the public of the hidden fees of most iBuyer companies. Zillow charges 7.5% service fee. They've told the shareholders that it will go up to 10%, and certainly would in markets when the market starts to be more volatile. But Opendoor charges 9% and experience fee. Yeah, so this is a great conversation. So I did a podcast with Nima the speaker, and he works for Opendoor, and he's part of the agent. What is his position? Really good guy, man. I really enjoyed my time with him, and he was talking about the opportunity side of this, right? So I think it's real easy for us to say, oh, we need to educate the public that people are going to there's this fee structure involved with iBuyer that they're gonna have this convenience fee, and it could be anywhere from 4% to 13%, which us as real estate agents, we tend to say, well, yeah, that would be what our commission would be. So you're not getting that great of a deal. And then there's these inspections and this other things that all come up and trying to scare people away from it. And I think I believe the best thing you could do is instead embrace the iBuyer platform. And we could talk about one of the things I wrote down that I want to talk about is what's the biggest opportunity in marketing from a marketing perspective. So we'll talk about that in a second. But there's opportunity if you take a listing and you present that to all of the iBuyer companies in your marketplace. You get paid a 3% commission if they buy that property. Tito's. In Texas, we don't drink vodka; we drink Tito's. So there's an opportunity. First of all, if your house stays on the market for a period of time and it doesn't sell, and then you go take it to one of these iBuyer companies, they're not going to make the same offer they would have in the beginning, most likely. If it hasn't sold on the market, they're going to make some adjustments for that. So why not be as part of your process now, start to take that property, get that listing, submit it to the iBuyer platforms that are in your marketplace, and then now you at least have, okay, I have offers. They're going to work with you. They don't go around you. They work with you. And now you could, you at least have something to take to the seller now. Okay, hey, listen, and the first 48 hours, I've got you 1 or 2 or 3 offers to look at. We can continue to market the property in MLS and see if we can attract a higher offer. But here's what we know we have today, right? So that is a strategy. I think that as agents we kind of want to resist that, but I think it's an opportunity. I don't know, Al, what are your thoughts?
Well, the first time that I heard about this opportunity was with our agent, that husband-wife team in Phoenix area that's part of our network. It's Jennifer. You know what I'm talking about. They're in Phoenix. She actually spoke at the thing that we did, and what she was doing was she was circumventing the whole iBuyer thing by going to the consumer and saying, hey, I'm going to help you actually negotiate a better deal with the iBuyer and see if this is truly a better deal. And she positioned herself as an advisor versus a salesperson up front. Right. You know what I'm talking about. Not is it Jennifer Warner? Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer Warner.
Jennifer Warner. Yeah. And that was the first I heard of it. Now, we're in Cleveland, and the iBuyers haven't made they're just inching their way into Ohio right now. What I learned about iBuyers is they want sections of it's called, I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong, but homogeneous type of properties, meaning they're the same. Like there's a lot of properties that were all built in the same year, same square footage, same type of quality construction. And that's really what they're going after, because it's easy for the algorithm to pick where they would make their offer. Versus right. Like up here in Cleveland, there's a lot of older homes and it's a mix. So an algorithm really just, you're going to need more of a human element somewhere like in Cleveland. So what she did was she circumvented it and positioned herself as an expert advisor. And now sometimes she went ahead and said, hey, look, this is probably a better offer than what I can get you. Now she earned their trust, and then they're going to buy from her. Now, this is someone who probably would have went with an iBuyer anyway. But the statistic that I heard, and I read this, was that 40% of the buyers in any given market, if these iBuyers are hitting the marketing button heavy on any given market, 40% of the sellers, I didn't mean the buyers, I meant the potential people who are going to sell, would hit the button and want what their value is going to be. But out of all 40% of those, only 6% take the offer. So that therein lies the opportunity. The math in that is 94% of the rest of those people are all seller leads. And, we're not on here to get into any kind of an EXP, conversation. But what I think Glenn Sanford did with EXP is he literally put a platform together that's called it's called Express Offers. And if do you think about this? I actually literally just took this class yesterday. I took the Express Offer class because I wanted to learn more about it. And what's fascinating about what he did, it truly is. This is gonna disrupt the iBuyer, because what he's doing is he's vetting the iBuyers against each other, which is better for who? The consumer. And the agent doesn't get pinched out of the deal. If you're a smart marketer, you're going to be able to position yourself in front of the iBuyer, position yourself as an expert, get multiple offers for that person, and make sure that you're getting a listing agreement signed up front so you can get something on that deal, even if it's a smaller end of commission.
To make a point with what you're saying, too, Al, is both OfferPad and Open Door, and I believe Zillow too, will pay you 1% for bringing them somebody who, if you submit it as the agent, even though you don't have the listing, they'll still negotiate with you through you to get the deal. They don't go around you and go to the client. So you can start today and start calling for sale buyers in your marketplace. Say, hey, would you like to get an offer on your property in the next 48 hours? I can help you with that. And then you submit that property, you can still get 1% on every one of those deals that actually would go through. What we know is they're probably not going to go through, but you start to think about it. The conversation of calling like a FSBO or an expirer and say, hey, I can get you an offer in the next 48 hours. Have you submitted to any of the iBuyers that are out there that you're aware of? As this becomes more prevalent and more other players come into the game, now Redfin has Redfin Now. I just saw that today. Didn't even know it existed. Now they have Redfin Now. Redfin Now is their iBuyer program. There's going to be more and more and more. When you become the expert on knowing that how many opportunities there are to get a cash offer, and you can control that, which is what Glenn Sanford is trying to leverage his platform VXP to do. And everybody's going to want to be on that platform because there's nobody else out there doing that. As a marketer, I know the biggest opportunity in the marketplace today for 2020 is to be known as the guy or gal that can get you multiple offers, because you know all of the iBuyers in the marketplace, and being positioned is that's just a huge deal. So don't
tell anybody in Cleveland.
Huh?
Don't tell anybody.
It's a right or not. If you don't get that, then if you're spending money in market, it's already happening. Like there's too many smart people in this industry for that not to be. It used to be the guaranteed sell. That used to be the best thing you could say to anybody through marketing to the masses, because what happens is there's a call to action there for somebody to call, a reason for somebody to call you right now. And that person is in a situation where they should have probably called you sooner, but they need to sell it right now. So what do? They call you, hey, let's call that person with a guaranteed sell. And now you have the ability to get offers within 48 hours and be that purveyor of all of the opportunity, which is just, it makes me want to freaking take over the damn whole entire market. It makes me want to go back into sales. Matt, what the best USP is, I would say get up to X number of offers, and that number needs to be a reasonable number based on the number of iBuyers you know of in your marketplace. If you know of 5 buyers that are iBuyers in your marketplace, then if you get up to 5 offers within the next 48 hours, give me a call. Don't leave money on the table. The positioning here is, listen, there are multiple buyers. You could go to Zillow, you could go to Open Door, you can go to OfferPad. But that's not it. There's more people in some cases willing. Some people are buy and hold. Listen, Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow Offers are all buy and flip. There are iBuyer programs out there. People that are buying in that market, buy and hold.
Yes.
That person is going to always pay more money than a person that's going to buy and try to flip the property. So when you understand that there's all of these opportunities out there, now you start to position and you educate the public. All this is doing is making it harder for a seller to understand what they should do. It's making the real estate experience more complex. When things get more complex, people need expert advice. They need some opinion. They like, should I take this deal? Is this a good deal? I don't know. Is maybe there's a better deal. Maybe there's another buyer. Like, it's creating the ability for you to be a person in the marketplace talking to and teaching the public about what's going on. There's multiple buyers that are out there. Yes. And they all have fee structures, and they may or may not be your best deal. So let's look at all of it. Let me submit all of the deals, and then let's look at what we might be able to do on the market to attract the highest offer from a buyer that's willing to pay in the marketplace today. So, yeah.
So, I have a comment on that, but before I do, I don't know who Jay is it Airy is, but he's my homie. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's like, Cleveland, how can an agent survive there? The houses are like $40K. We got to steal lots of houses. It's like Lawton, Oklahoma. We just got to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, Kinley.
What's up? Kinley's joining in the podcast.
Hi, baby. How are you? Are you feeling better?
Yes, she is.
I'm trying to climb over.
You trying to climb me? Hey. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
Say hi. Yep.
Yeah. So the
Mama's here.
There was a couple of things I learned, and one of the things I learned was that there is a if you go to like the BBB and look at some of the and I'm specifically talking about OfferPad and Open Door, and if you look at a lot of the reviews, they got a lot of negative reviews because what's happening is that these sellers are not being advised correctly. They're going for the quick buck. Then they find out that their neighbor sold for $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 more, and they're pissed because they felt like they got burned. And the reason is because they just didn't have the right advice. They didn't have someone in their corner fighting for them. So if you position like what we've been talking about is positioning yourself as the expert, what you're going to find is that most of these iBuyer deals are not good for the seller anyway. Now, there's going to be a portion that are. If the house is beat up, if there's always going to be circumstances where it makes sense, but statistics tell it, not us, 94% of the time, it's not going to make sense for them to take the iBuyer. And someone else mentioned, I don't know who was in here, that there are going to be fees. Sometimes it's 7, 8, 9. Someone said that Zillow is going to go up to a 10% fee. There's meat on that bone for us as agents, and we can position ourselves. And you know who wins when we get involved? The consumer. Our client. We're there as an advocate for them, and they win when we're involved. When we're not involved, chances are they may end up losing. So as long as you can figure out what the marketing plan is on this. I know I already got mine written. I mean, mine's done. I know what I'm doing for 2020. I'm gonna get in front of that, and and it's about to be fun again. Right.
So Sarah Underwood has posted. What's up, Sarah? She's been doing all the research because she's been paying attention. She's a student of the game. Honey Badger partner with us, City XP.
Yeah.
But looking at all of them in Houston, and Houston is getting gangbusters. Like, in fact, the biggest growth of any market for iBuyers was Houston from Q3 last year to Q3 this year. There was nobody there last year, Q3 this year. They're already at 3%. So big numbers going on in Houston. But yeah, when you understand and learn these numbers, like, and she's saying 8%, the majority of them are over 8%. That's a big deal. When you understand, when you can come into the situation and somebody says, yeah, but I got this offer, like, yeah, okay, well, here's the fee structure here. And then there's this other one. Did you submit to that? Here's what I would tell you. Like, when you focus on becoming the expert and then genuinely stop trying to think about your damn commission and start thinking about how do I help this person the best way I possibly can, then you will win. You got to fall in love with the client. You got to fall in love with what's best for them. Stop thinking about your commission for this one deal and start thinking about how do I be the best advisor for this person that I'm working with? And that will never fail you. That's for sure. Let's move on to another topic because, man, we've been on this horse for a minute.
Strategy of preeminence.
Right. Strategy of preeminence. Jay Abraham 101. Go search strategy of preeminence, Jay Abraham, and study up on my boy because he will teach you the biggest thing that's ever had the most value in my life.
Look,
the Hitman song. The Hitman. I know who that is.
Yeah.
Hey, Emery Crumbie, how are you? All right, so
what's up, Mike Reese? We're on live right now. Now you're on live. Everybody can hear you.
Hey, what's up, homie? Hey, quick question.
All right, I won't put you on live. Let me call you when we're done. We're on live. I'll call you back. Mike Reese, AKA the Hitman.
The Hitman.
So, hey, I want to get to this one. I'm excited about this one. So here's the other thing, okay? This is not our data. This is NAR. National franchises are going to continue to struggle with their value proposition. Again, this is not Alan J talking. This is NAR. This is, if you go back to the danger report, which was that 2016, Jay?
Yep.
It's crazy that back in 2016, with the data that they pulled on the NAR danger report, it's all coming true. It's everything is all coming true right now. And right now, the national franchises continue to struggle with their value proposition, and brokerage profits continue to fall. Those two things, you can't argue either of those. That's just what's happening right now. And of course, the expansion of teams, it just keeps going up and up and up. And I actually have some stats that I don't know if you know about, but I want to share this with you. And we've all had teams. There's probably dozens of people right now that have either had a team, started a team. Check this out. In 2013, which wasn't that long ago, but actually that was when I went independent. 2013 is when I took my Remax team, went independent. There were 1,700 teams doing over $1 million in GCI. 1,700. In 2018, so 5 years later, 6,300 teams doing over $1 million in GCI. And in 2020, they're predicting over 9,000 teams doing over $1 million in GCI. So here's what we're seeing. We're seeing a trend in broker profits going down. We're seeing a trend in actual brokerages not renewing their franchise leases, and moving to other models. And we're seeing the rise of teams continue to rise and rise. And I remember when I started my team with Remax, it was 2007. And I remember flying out to Las Vegas to a Brian Buffini team, where he was teaching you the different types of teams and this and that. And I thought that, I'm like, wow, yeah, this is it. This is the new thing. It wasn't that new then, but it was still pretty new to people. But you could just see how things are just doubling and growing every year with the teams. So I got to ask you a question. Why do you think that the teams are kind of disrupting the whole brokerage model? Did we lose Jay? He's spinning now. Maybe it's just my end he's spinning. It's the new thing. It wasn't that. There you back now. But it was still pretty new to people. You can just see how things are just. Where'd you go, Jay? Looks like we lost Jay Kinder.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, there he goes. All I see are OU. All I see are OU.
Well, so my wife got here, and all the iPads got here. And when the iPads get here, the internet goes to shit out here in the country. So I had to
not for long though.
Fix it. It's unbelievable. And January 1st, I move into the town, which we can take the over/under on how well that's going to go. I'm betting if I was a bet, I'd be curious what the over/under is on me living in the city and not ended up getting a violation within the first 30 days of being in a house as far as the homeowners association. We'll see.
I think.
What do you think about that?
I think you better keep that house open and vacant just in case we need a crash pad. That's what I think.
Hey, dude, you know what? I found there's this company called Garages of Texas, and most badass idea I've seen in a long time. They basically built storage units, and they built them, and they customize. You can customize the inside of the storage unit with, like your own kitchenette and like whatever you want, like your own little man cave type stuff, right? But so. Like in Frisco, you can't find a place. You got to spend $2 million to get a house big enough to have the kind of room I've got for toys and shit. And so it's crazy. Like it's just nuts. And there's no garage space. Even in the $1 million plus market, you can't. There's like it's a 3-car garage and you can't even park. You just can't. I don't know how people do it. The other thing I don't know how people do is I don't understand how you get all of your trash into that little fucking trash can with Amazon and all the boxes and stuff that comes in. Like I burn my trash and I still got a dumpster. So I don't know how we're gonna do
That's gonna be a problem when you move to Frisco.
Yeah, I know I can't burn my trash, so I know that's not gonna work. But I don't know how we're gonna do it. I really don't. I really honestly like the more I think about it, I'm doing it because my wife wants to move into town and my kids and da da da. But like I really don't know how this is gonna end up. But we'll see. I think there's a good chance I'm gonna get kicked out of the neighborhood for sure. I mean, for sure I'm gonna get fined. I'm probably gonna get fined.
Hey, Jay. So Jay Airy, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. He wants to know, do you drive to Cleveland to get your hair cut by my barber? If not, he wants to know.
Oh shit! So I'm assuming Jay. I'm assuming based on his comments, he is an expert. Screw real I really want to meet these.
I think he just wants our haircut. I'm pretty sure he just wants our haircut.
Yeah. I used to try to cut my own hair, and I noticed that now I can't do that. So I go to Sports Clips and just throw it. It's like roll the dice, man. See what happens. Every once in a while, you get a good one.
Yeah.
I went to Sport Clips the other day, and I walked in and the Price is Right was on, right? So like, I have a choice. Like I'm out here in the country. There's not a lot of places, but in front of Walmart, there's a Sport Clips, there's a Supercuts. Choose your poison. And so I go to Sport Clips, and the Price is Right is on, and I'm like, really? Like, y'all got one thing y'all are trying to do, and that's y'all are trying to be like the place that guys want to come to get their haircut, and y'all are watching the Price is Right on every TV in the whole place. I'm like, unbelievable.
They missed the mark on that.
Yeah, I would have fired all them girls that day if I worked there.
That's why if you're in the Cleveland area, you got to go to Wise Guys, because you will never ever see the Price is Right on Wise Guys.
Wise Guys
news. Yep, you'll see some good news. You might see some good YouTube videos. But more than anything, you're going to get a great haircut. I'm about due for one too, and I'll trim your beard. All right, back to real estate. Back to real estate.
I got a good one.
What we're saying is the national franchises continue to struggle with their value proposition. Broker profits continue to fall, and teams continue to expand. Now, I remember this. Okay. Now, I'm a second generation. The one thing that you and I do have in common, we have a lot of things in common. One of the things, we're second generation realtors.
True that.
And my dad was a little different from your dad's path. He owned a Coldwell Banker. My dad worked for Century 21. I remember coming in, and my dad was a union worker, worked the docks, and then he would come home, shower, shave, throw on the gold coat, and he'd go out and go to appointments. And sometimes if he didn't have appointments, he would just go upstairs and make cold calls and whatever it was. Or sometimes he'd have to go up to the office because the MLS books were in the office. So I would I'd want to hang out with Dad. So I would go up to the office. And back then, Century 21, that was the gold standard. It wasn't just the fact they had a gold coat. They were the brand. They were it. And that was what? 35 years ago, something like that. And then did we lose Jay? Jay's all frozen up. The iPads are back at it again. Let's see here. Oh, he's coming back. Bottom line is, you're back, Jay. Here we go. We got you now.
Hold on, dude. It's telling me that there's unstable internet, so I've got to go do a little recon. By the way,
that's okay. What's unstable is the brokerage model right now. And we constantly see it declining. Right now, as an independent broker, a few years ago, I was made offers from many franchises. And when I mean offers, not to buy a franchise, they were actually going to pay me to take one of the franchises. And that's kind of what it's come to. And it's been that struggle. So my prediction is that teams will continue to take a front end position in the real estate market because they can because of the level of service that they're providing their agents, they're going to be able to provide more training, more coaching, and more lead generation than the current brokerage model. And the brokerage model continues to become a platform for agents and teams to grow off of. My belief right now is that if you're a new agent, and if you're watching this and you're a new real estate agent, and you're probably, if you're watching this and you're thinking of getting in real estate, or you're a new agent, your head's probably spinning. You're like, oh my God, do I really want to get into this? But if you do, Number one, it is a great business. I love this business. There isn't a more even playing field, in my opinion, than real estate. It doesn't matter what if you're a male, female, don't matter. Like if you sell 100 houses, you're going to sell whatever it is that you're going to charge for selling houses. Doesn't matter what you do, whatever. And so I love the even playing field. But having said that, if you're new in the business, the one thing that I think is the misnomer is that you're going to go join one of these companies and they're going to be able to give you the support as a new agent that you need to launch your career. I believe personally that any new agent should join a team. And if I could turn the hands back 21 years when I got my license, I would have joined a team back then. The only problem is 98, there really weren't any teams I was aware of. I think there might have been one team in the entire Cleveland area that a good agent does not need a brokerage to train them. Otherwise, they're just a soccer mom passes up. This guy's great. I love the stand-up we got going from Jay, the other Jay. You back, Jay?
I am back. And Riggs is back.
Hey, Riggs. What's up, dude?
Good.
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 How was basketball, dude?
How's
you dunk on those dudes?
Good.
What?
Good. You dunked good?
Did you school them or not? Did you show them up? No? Yes?
Yes, you did.
Maybe?
I know you did.
Oh. You didn't? You didn't show him how? Oh, he doesn't know what school anybody means. That's some old school talk. Did you show him how to play? You show him what's up?
No.
All right, well, maybe next time. You all right, buddy? Love you. All right, so I don't think he's not ready for YouTube yet. He told me he wants a YouTube channel because he watches what's that kid, Ryan's Kids, that has his own deal or whatever, his own opens presence. No. Ryan, there's this kid that's got like 100 million views per video that just his parents basically like set up a video and video him opening presents and playing with them and stuff. Which, by the way, is brilliant because every toy that he said he wants for Christmas has come from that. So whatever marketing they're doing there is working. That's for sure.
Well,
there he is. All right.
He's making 7 figures.
Oh, you're doing all right. That kid doing all right. You're getting every toy he ever wanted and making money too.
Content strategy. Write it down.
So that's what I missed. Content strategy, no question.
No, we were talking about brokerages, but I think I beat that donkey, and it's fine at this point.
I have definitely had
jump right in, brother.
Yeah, I've had more conversations with 50 plus agent brokerages in the last week than I've ever had. And obviously I'm talking about EXP. And it goes back to what you said right before I walked out, which is their margins are just not there. You know, you might be making 5%. If you're making 5% as an independent brokerage, and if you're not in production, especially, you're basically one downturn away from being negative 15%. Like, it could go way worse real quick. And I think, you wake up every day worried about your best agents leaving. You've got Compass buying them for, whatever ridiculous model they have, which maybe is a good segue into that conversation. What do we think the current players in the game? What do we think is going to happen with the current players in the game? And I want to start with Al, your prediction on EXP number of agents by the end of 2020. What do you think? What do you think that would be?
I'm thinking that it's probably going to be what are we at? 25,000 agents right now,
right? With roughly 1,000 a month net coming on, so you're 26.
Yeah, but I think that's going to start to increase, and my number is going to be 40. 40,000.
That's what I wrote down, bro. I wrote down the exact same number, 40,000.
Did you really? No way.
I did. I wrote down. Because we grew from 16,000 to 25,000, which is 50-something%. And I think that from what I'm seeing, we're we're really getting our legs underneath us as a company as it relates to the seamlessness of bringing people on. And then I feel like the number of independents, people that are transitioning. I'm dealing with another 60 agent brokerage that's transitioning from a Century 21 franchise over to EXP, and people are just looking for a better platform, and it just is better, period. So I mean, I think 40 is the low end. And Melissa DeSantis, what's up? What's up, Jeff? Rubenstein, what's up, baby? 55K. It could absolutely be those numbers, and it's just absolutely very possible. I think that we could hit there. But 40K for the win, Nikki. I agree. I got a question for you guys. This is just a complete random question, right? So I've been investigating because I have really shitty internet. In case you haven't noticed, I'm probably like fuzzy right now if you're looking at me. But and it drives me crazy. And I love living in the country, but there's a lot of reasons we're moving to town. But service providers for TV, I have been like Dish Network, DirecTV. I've wanted to sue them both. Like, I can't stand them. They're terrible. But I'm paying, like, for everything, you pay out the nose. And then I had Dish Network, currently, and everybody recently probably, like they had, HBO pulled off of it. And then it's like, oh, hey, you used to get HBO, now you don't. And then my bill didn't change. I'm like, what the fuck? You can't, like, it should at least change if you're going to take away services I've been paying for. And then they took away Fox Sports and stuff, like on a football Sunday, which, I mean, I can't imagine the kind of pressure that had to put on their customer support. It crashed their site. I couldn't even log in. But I'm curious, if you're watching, what are you using for your service provider for TV? And this is it's not a loaded question, but in the arena of the way things are shifting, these huge conglomerates like DirecTV and Dish Network had the bulk of the marketplace and cable TV. Like, people are moving to streaming options like crazy. And I had not used, I don't know, Al, what you're using. What are you using at your house?
We have, man, I had to go two different directions. My cable is AT&T Uverse, but their internet sucks so bad. I had to go with, what is it? Oh crap, man, these Moscow mules. They're getting me.
They'll come back to you. So Jeff said YouTube TV. I bought YouTube TV, and I bought also Hulu, and I bought all of the options on Hulu. I've been. The main thing for me was, like, I want to be able to watch, like, live sports, which and you may be able to do that with YouTube TV. Which is it?
Spectrum.
Yeah.
They changed the name. It wasn't Spectrum. They changed the name to Spectrum. It was something else before, but they got the highest internet in my area.
So Cox, we got if you need all sports, Sean Williams, I'm the same way. Spectrum. I'm using Hulu, which is I haven't got the whole family over to this yet. But I bought Apple TV 4Ks for all the rooms, and then you can use whatever apps, what I'm saying. So, like, if you wanted to subscribe to whatever it is, so, like, I use Hulu, and then I subscribe to HBO on Hulu, which is whatever it is. The same thing as if you were to buy it on HBO Go. Not that I use HBO Go, but I've been watching the Game of Thrones. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that. Game of Thrones. Have you heard of that? I'm one of the 2% of the entire population of the planet that has never watched Game of Thrones. I just finished season 1. Holy shitballs. What an amazing series. Because I just didn't have HBO. I never watched it, didn't really care to watch it. And then I started watching and I was like, what? It's unbelievable. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Well, I think I watched maybe 3 or 4 episodes, and it was amazing. And then we kind of fell off of it. It was like a wintertime thing. We don't watch a whole lot of TV, like those types of shows in the summer. But
everybody's got something different. So Jeremiah Ackerman's got something different. He cut Dish, streaming Hulu, Netflix, and then Reddit for sports. So I didn't even know Reddit for sports was available. I've been pretty happy so far with Hulu because I'm getting the local stuff that I wasn't getting anymore on Dish. So, like, if I wanted to watch the Cleveland Browns because of Baker Mayfield, I couldn't really get it because they didn't usually show it locally. But anyways, yes, it's interesting to see how everybody's moving. So Maryland Torres, Amazon. Yeah, there's so many options that are out there. It's crazy how that entire industry is shifting. Really,
I got a show for you. I got a show for you, and you're gonna love it. You ready? This is a writer downer. Okay. The Righteous Gemstones. You got to watch the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch. Just stop whatever
That's
you're
why
watching. Right
the only reason I bought Hulu was for that show.
Oh, you watched it already?
That's how I ended up with Hulu. I bought Hulu because Kenny Powers he's my spirit animal.
Yes.
Yeah. And so Kevin McBride, whatever his name is.
Did you watch all?
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one season so far, but did you watch all the episodes?
Yeah, I did. Ozark is another one.
Funny shit. I've never laughed so hard. That is so great.
I'll tell you.
What's homeboy's name in there?
Danny McBride.
Yeah, but the other guy, the main guy for like the gemstone, the head gemstone guy, not John Candy.
Yeah, Goodman. John Goodman.
Good. John Goodman.
Yeah,
so good. Gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Right, gemstone.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Kenny Powers. Kenny Powers is the best. He's the best character of all time, no doubt.
He's the best character in that. Yeah, for sure.
I got another one for you. Okay, this is a serious one. Okay, this is probably going to be controversial, and I'm going to be okay with that. When do we think in 2020? Do we believe that KW Command is going to actually come out, or do we think it's not?
I don't know. Isn't it already out?
I don't think so. Not according to the agents that I've talked to. It doesn't exist. It's a figment of their imagination. Even still, like it this year at family reunion or whatever, it wasn't. They just didn't talk about it. So I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. You Keller Williams agents can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But
let's ask the righteous gemstones.
And that's your playlist. I watched one. I watched one called The 100. It kept showing up. Now, first of all, let me tell you what I don't like about Netflix. When your kids log into Netflix from their iPad, which is what happens in my world, they watch all these cartoons and stuff, and it messes up your suggested playlist, right? So like
you got to get separate channels, bro.
Well, we have separate channels, but like trying to get a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old to, hey, don't log into this one, log into that one. It doesn't happen. They just don't do it. And so at any rate, now like all of my stuff is like 90% like unicorn horses and all kinds of cartoons and stuff. And then every once in a while there's like, oh hey, this is an adult show you might want to watch. But it showed up all the time. It was called The 100.
Do I look like I have like a crown around my head?
You look like you're on the Game of Thrones.
Love it.
The content might be diminishing as the night goes on, but you know what? We still love you, and we're glad you're watching. If you're still watching, here's my prediction, and I got a little bit of beef with KW right now, so might as well just let that fly too. You know what? I also have a lot of respect for the fact that they're that scared when we come to town. That when we come to town, it doesn't matter. So if you partner with us, let's just give a scenario. If we were to partner with you at EXP, and we were going to come to town and we were going to help you spread the word, tell your friends, bring people over to EXP, and at least see the opportunity, and we're going to teach you some things that what we've done to be successful in real estate. As soon as the local market center finds out about this, isn't a local market center thing. Actually, now that I've learned a little bit, it's actually coming from the top. They literally will plan an event to be at the exact same time when we're going to be there, so that the agents at KW might not go learn about whatever it is that we're going to teach. Now, that's a gangster move. I got to give them credit for that. That's a gangster move.
Strategic. Yes.
That's very strategic, very gangster. But I can tell you this.
Defensive, though. Defensive strategy. It's a defensive strategy.
It's a fear-based tactic. And anybody who's has an abundance mindset, which I think a lot of agents at KW, and I just do. I think that company started with an abundance mindset, and it just doesn't quite feel abundant anymore. It's more scarcity moves that they're making. I think it has a lot to do with when you tell everybody you're transitioning to being a technology company and you have no business being a technology company. But that's my opinion. It's really whatever. But all it does is make people that are abundance mindset want to go see what the hell it is that you're trying to keep people from seeing. So all I would tell you is if you run a KW Market Center and they tell you that you should plan an event at the exact same time, the best people in your company are going to see through that and they're going to show up. And it's not a good strategy. So it's all good. Keep doing what you're doing, KW. We love you.
Well, here's the only problem I had with it, because we've been doing for the last 4 months, we were doing career nights over in our office in Cleveland. And I wasn't even aware of this because Joel was running the career nights. I wasn't running them. But our market center that was literally in the building next door was, as soon as they'd see us pop one up, they'd pop one up at the same time. I didn't know about it. I just found out about it. That I actually see nothing really wrong with. That's completely strategic, this and that. What happened in Maryland was a little bit different. They launched it actually would have been a very cool event with value. They brought in a bunch of badasses to talk and, that were high earners and talk about residual income and this and that. But they did it only because we were coming for their agents. Whereas before, like with an event where it's a career night, you're doing it to attract new people coming in. This was for their agents. So if I was one of their agents, I'd have been agitated. Because I'm like, oh, so you're putting this event on just because Al and Jay are coming to town, not because you were trying to give us value. That's right. That's the difference that I drew. I don't know, but I think it's great.
I love it.
So great. So great that I'm having another Moscow Mule.
The biggest problem with Moscow Mules is that the copper mugs are just not big enough. They're just not. All right. So yeah, my prediction here. This would be my prediction. There are a lot of KW agents that, I get it. You've had a good career. You love Gary. I love Gary. I think he's brilliant. He changed the industry. Brilliant man. I think they changed. They've been the gold leader up until now. And I mean, there wasn't one in my market, or I'd have been a Keller Williams agent. But at the end of the day, when you look at the future moving forward, if they want to pivot into technology, the question I have: if you're holding on to it's coming. It's going to be the most amazing thing. You gotta understand that the technology that supposedly is getting released, or whatever the case may be, and I could be misspoken, so don't quote me on any of this, but until you get it in the hand of the consumer, like Redfin has. Redfin has the worst. I mean, arguably. I mean, I'm trying not to get a lawsuit out of this podcast, out of this live tonight. But if I personally was going to rank the Redfin real estate agents, I would say that they are the absolute world's worst real estate agents that you could have found in the industry. And there's a lot of really shitty real estate agents. So their model, I believe technology-wise, they have gotten it in the hands of the consumer, and the consumer has used that technology, and it's been the better technology for the consumer. Their real estate agents suck, which is just evidence, and their stock price and everything else is probably also evidence that when you put a shitty agent with good technology, you don't get a good result. It doesn't help the consumer. They like the technology, they'll buy from who the hell they want to. So if this technology is going to be great, and maybe this is life-changing, unbelievable, but you still got to pick up the phone. And at the end of the day, it's going to be whether you're good on the phone or you're not good on the phone. You're an expert in the market or you're not an expert in the market. It's going to determine whether this technology is going to do you any good. So, I hope you're not waiting around for something that's going to make it easier and make the expertise and the selling and your ability to persuade go away, because that's what we do as real estate agents. And either you're good at it or you're not, and technology is not going to change that. But until you get it in the hands of the consumer, you're not going to know. You're not going to know if it's going to make a difference or not. I would think that Zillow and Redfin, who have hundreds of millions of dollars invested in technology, and they ain't figured it out, that you're probably not going to figure it out the first go. But you got a few years to figure that out. So I wouldn't wait around. I would consider your options. So anyway, all right, I'm off my soapbox there. Probably pissed a few people. If I haven't pissed anybody off, then we didn't do a good job tonight.
I think we
Do
did
you have
good.
anything else you want to talk about tonight before we sign off?
I think it's good. I appreciate everybody who hanging in, and I hope that you learned a little bit. You had some fun with us, and we'll have you back for the next one.
Yeah, and it probably will be less random and maybe more pointed to some value add. So this was our predictions for 2020. The one last thing I would ask, and I think I know your answer to this. I'm going to give a different answer most likely, but I wrote this down. It's like, what's the big marketing sleeper? The thing that nobody's doing that is the biggest opportunity for 2020 from a marketing perspective. What would you say is your take on that?
The biggest opportunity from a marketing perspective is get in front of the iBuyer, period. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
If you can become it doesn't matter, like, and let me just like stretch out what you're saying is getting in front of the iBuyer means understanding, learning everything you need you be the expert on iBuyer, all things iBuyer, and then becoming the go-to person. Now, I don't care if you're marketing lakefront properties in a community, or golf course homes, or an entire damn real estate market, and you're on billboards, TV, and radio, all everywhere. You're everywhere. But for a certain subset of the market, whether it's 10,000 people or 20,000 people or 100,000 people, like that, you become the most thought about person when it comes to the topic of real estate and getting an offer on a property. And it would be hard to argue that if you can be the first person people think about when the topic of real estate comes up and getting an offer on their home in the next 48 hours, that they Google you first instead of something else like Open Door or OfferPad or Zillow, that would not be the most powerful thing you can do in marketing. That might be a big thought for a few people. But my sleeper, this is my sleeper. So I read a study out the other day, and it was it was for boot camp, and I was updating a slide that had statistically the most influential marketing. So what are the things that the consumer thinks when they see marketing from a particular medium? What is the most influential? What is it that makes them that they believe the highest level of trust based on the medium? And I was shocked to see what number one was. The number one thing that the consumer, this is based on a 2017 Gallup poll study. The number one thing that people have the most trust in marketing is still, believe it or not, print media. Print. When people do something in print, they still have the highest level of trust over anything else in the industry.
Out of this video all day long.
Yeah, video is way down on the list. It's not that it's low trust, but it was way down, like half as valuable as print. And so it's just evidence that like we go to these new opportunities, and I've been the biggest proponent of content marketing and video and all that stuff. And I know it's a huge opportunity because most people in real estate aren't taking advantage of it properly. But there's not a lot of and when you think about real estate, when you think about the opportunity to hit people like every week with a postcard, like we've done in the past, it's such a most agents just don't ever execute, not only on the number of times people see a message, but they don't do it consistently over a long enough period of time. Like when I get direct mail at my house, we've talked about this before. When I get direct mail at my house, I get one postcard. I don't get two. I don't get one every week for 5, 6, 7 weeks. Like for me to even make fun of the agents that send me direct mail, I can't even remember who they are because they only sent me one piece of mail. Like I literally have a file back here of stuff I can go back into and like, oh, look at these idiots. They sent me one piece of mail. Like it doesn't work that way. People don't remember you. You're not going to hit them on the one day that they saw a piece of mail, and they're going to call you. So I think direct mail or print marketing, I think, has got an opportunity where people have abandoned that, and that's an opportunity. So that's my last piece.
I love it, dude. Always well stated, and always fun hanging out with you on a Wednesday night. And we went long.
Wednesday night, man, we went forever, not an hour, 20 minutes. So yeah, we're going to be bringing the value every Wednesday at 7 Central. We'll see you next week, and we'll either see you.
I learned. You know what I learned?
What'd you learn?
I need to get a bigger mug because you didn't have to get up once to get more, and I had to get 3 trips. So cheers.
Right. Cheers to that.
Yep, I have one of those. You bought me one, and it's in my drawer, and I'm going to use that the next time.
Yep. Works this as well.
We'll see you at the
Good night,
top,
all.
everybody.
Or from the top.
Cheers.